Conor McGregor demands a date for his comeback fight as he goes on Twitter to show that he has provided another negative sample from Drug Free Sport International, which is the drug testing agency for the UFC. He says, most tested athlete on the roster ×2. I deserve my fight date. Hashtag clean athlete. In this video, we're going to talk about Conor, who his comeback fight is going to be, and also we're going to talk about, does he really want to come back? So stick around to hear my thoughts on Conor McGregor's comeback fight. I'm Wyatt, and this is Fight Society. Before we get into the video, guys, please make sure to like, subscribe, become a channel member if you want extra content, all that good YouTube stuff. Thank you very much. Back to the video. All right, guys, so Conor McGregor is demanding a new fight date after pulling out of UFC 303 against Michael Chandler. We talked about it in a video last week where Michael Chandler will not be facing Conor McGregor in his next fight as he has agreed to face Charles Oliveira in a 5-round co-main event to UFC 309, which is the Jones and Stipe card in November at Madison Square Garden. We are going to talk about what's next for Conor if Chandler's not next, but we do have some things to get into about if this comeback is even going to happen. All right. So first off, Conor is saying clean athlete and he is demanding a date, but does he really want to be out there? Because Conor's doing just about every side quest imaginable, and here he is with Turki Al-Sheikh, the Saudi Arabia Riyadh season organizer. We've seen a lot of him to do with pro boxing and with PFL and UFC at this point. So here Conor is with Guy Ritchie, Turki Al-Sheikh, Bud Crawford, Tyson Fury, and you also have Alexander Usyk in the back here who's looking like a Chad. Look, guys, we don't know what his day-to-day life is like. We just see when he pops out. You know, sometimes you gotta pop out and show him, you know what I'm saying? But we really don't see what Conor's day-to-day life is because we don't know if Conor's day-to-day is this or if it's this. But what I will say is that Conor is the ultimate entertainer and he's also the ultimate salesman. So I think one of the best ways possible is to have everyone thinking that he's not gonna fight, because it's going to keep people debating about him, talking about him in the media, you know, keeping his name relevant. The guy hasn't fought in over 3 years and he's still, what, 50% of the UFC headlines? Conor's potentially trolling here, but here you have a post right here from Stand 'Em Up. Conor McGregor is not coming back because he liked a post. He liked a tweet that says, bro, Conor is never coming back to MMA. And Conor liking it is interesting. Oh, it's also interesting right here. You have somebody saying that he became his Roadhouse character, which is on point and hilarious. But Conor does post training footage, and it's one of those things where I'm not sure if that's the only time he's training is the stuff he posts, or if he's training all the time, because a guy like Conor, he seems all over the place, you know, and he seems to be distracted. But I'll tell you what, he is very excited about combat sports regardless. You see him being interviewed ringside at Dubois versus Joshua after Joshua got knocked out this past week. Even though Conor seems to not be training all the time, he does still seem very excited about combat sports, if you know what I'm saying.
He's not going to get any dead. Showing the same shot over and over, the step back, and then a step back, over, go. You need to either meet him or step or go forward. I just spoke to Ricky Hatton there. He said that as a friend of AJ's, he would like to see him retire. How do you see now? AJ is number one. This is 8th stadium show here in Eddie and Barry. He's a legend forever. Is there a way back for this, Conor? Do you believe? Yeah. Sure is. He smacked him back. He stood his ground and smacked him back, and then he went forward and got caught. It's only boxing. You get caught, you catch someone. Of course he can come back for sure. Conor, you're a legend. Thank you very much.
And you know, even if Conor's not training, you can see right here, right on his face, guy is ecstatic about combat sports. So maybe this bodes well for a comeback fight. But that's what I wanted to talk about next is what is Conor's comeback fight? I did a poll on my channel last week asking people who they think Conor should face. And I put Dustin Poirier, Dan Hooker, Justin Gaethje, and other. Now, many people in the comments said Nate Diaz, which I'm sure is a possibility, but Dustin Poirier has said on Ariel Helwani's show before that he's fairly certain that the UFC does not want to be in business with Nate Diaz anymore. Maybe that's because he fought Jake Paul. I'm not too sure. This is what I put up as current ranked UFC lightweights that are big enough names to fight Conor, and also winnable enough fights for Conor because they'd be relatively striking heavy, and also something that could leapfrog him into a title shot with one win. So of 345 people that voted, Dustin Poirier got 45% of the vote, so in a landslide. Justin Gaethje was second with about a quarter of the vote, and then Dan Hooker got about 20%, and then that 11% was other, mostly people saying Nate Diaz, some people saying Jose Aldo, like some type of Legends fight, which I wouldn't necessarily mind. But when I look at these three guys right here, Dustin Poirier, winnable matchup for Conor. Striking heavy, regardless of the KO and then the leg break, it's still a very winnable fight for Conor. And then Dan Hooker, guy that gets hit a lot, somebody that Conor could put out. And Justin Gaethje, also striking heavy fight, and Justin Gaethje's down to bang, you know? So all three of these are good matchups, unless they want to do a Nate and bring Nate back. But all three of these guys are great matchups, and I think Conor has a winnable, they're all winnable fights. They're all possible wins. Like I'm saying, Conor has like at least a 50-50 chance of beating the guy. And you know, Vegas loves Conor. Conor's probably a favorite against like all these guys, you know? In terms of what I want to see, it depends. Because if I want to see the biggest fight possible, it's probably Nate Diaz in terms of fanfare, clicks, casuals tuning in, non-UFC fans tuning in for it. I probably want to see Nate Diaz as Conor's next opponent. It's also the most winnable fight, in my opinion, a 40-year-old Nate Diaz. Dustin Poirier, I feel like there's unfinished business there. Justin Gaethje has talked a fair bit of shit about Conor, a lot, and he's even said that he would never allow Conor to make money off of his name, I'm pretty sure that's what he said, but I don't know. I don't want to direct quote that, but, and then Dan Hooker would just be fun, because he's a good name. I think he's probably the most beatable out of the three guys up there. And if I have to pick one, you know what just popped in my head too? I think there's a possibility that you do, if Max Holloway loses to Ilia Topuria at UFC 308, there's also a chance that they do Holloway versus McGregor for the BMF. Max loses to Ilia Topuria at UFC 308. I 1000% want to see that fight, Conor versus Max Holloway for the BMF the most. If that doesn't happen, or that's not the fight they're going to book, I think from a fanfare perspective, I want to see Nate Diaz. But from like a sick fight perspective, any of these three guys would be great. But if I had to pick one, I'm thinking Justin Gaethje. Because I think there's a little bit of bad blood there. Gaethje's managed by Ali. Gaethje's talked a little bit of shit. It would be a striking battle. It'd be fun. I think that's the one to make. If you don't do Nate Diaz, I think you do McGregor Gaethje. If you can't do BMF Holloway versus McGregor. So that's my thoughts, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Does Conor come back? And if so, who do you want to see it against? Let me know your thoughts down below. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. Make sure to like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff. It really helps me out a lot. If you're interested in supporting the channel further, then become a channel member today for access to members only live streams, vlogs, and some other members perks. So click the link in the description down below or the join button on our channel homepage to become a member today. If you're interested in some non-MMA content from me, go check out my personal channel, Wyatt's World, and go check out my weekly comedy podcast, What's Up Bro, with Wyatt and Bo. Both of those are linked in the description down below. Go watch this suggested video, and we'll see you next time.